Everybody signed in? Everybody hear everybody's announcements? Okay. So today, Mark wanted me to speak to you about the life of Jesus. And then last night he called me and said he also wanted me to talk about proofs for the existence of God and kind of how you would answer someone that comes up to you and questions the existence of God. So we're going to go through that a little bit. We'll go through the life of Jesus, through the mysteries of the rosary, and then we'll probably run out of time before I get done. But what I hope to get out of this is y'all will participate. Y'all are actually going to help present and to understand a few of these arguments, because you'll hear them later on in high school and especially in college if you go there. There's a lot of people out there in the world, and a lot of them do not believe in God. That's actually the largest growing group are the ones called nuns, and I'm not speaking about the sisters. They're the N-O-N-E-S. Those are the people that have no religious affiliation whatsoever. So you'll see that and encounter that a lot, and I just wanted to equip you a little bit on how to respond to those questions you may get. All right, so as an outline for the first part, which is about believing in God and the mystery of why God, how we can know God exists, we're going to talk about what a worldview is. We're going to talk about the three main worldviews, and particularly atheism and what it is and what the implications of atheism are. Then we'll also talk about the other two views, which is theism, which is a belief in a higher power, and we'll talk about pantheism a little bit. I had to add pantheism last year when Father Siju came here, because he comes from a culture of Hinduism, and therefore, he's not Hindu. He's Catholic, but he comes from a culture that believes in those beliefs, and so I thought I'd incorporate that, because that's over 1 billion people in the world believe in that kind of worldview, pantheism. So we'll go over that too. We'll also look at the evidence we have out there for the belief in God. So I want to start off, this is on the Sistine Chapel. This is everybody's conception of God. Old man, got some angels around him, pointing a finger, kind of mad. So what we're going to do, we're going to watch a real quick video. This is somebody on the street just interviewing people, asking them, do you believe in God?
You believe in God? You don't believe in God?
I am an atheist. It's just I don't even deal with it one way or another. I observe people's beliefs. It's fine. Whatever gets you through the night, that's cool with me.
Listen, do you believe in God?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
You're not sure?
Like a higher power. Yeah.
A higher power.
A higher power.
Do
Yeah.
you believe in God?
Yes, I do believe in God.
What do you believe?
I believe in Buddhism.
Oh, Buddhism.
Yes, sir. Okay, I was 13 and I saw Harry Potter and I thought I was a wizard.
Really?
Just because my mom was all about that.
What do you believe?
I believe in spiritualism. I believe in karma quite a bit. I believe whatever you send out negative energy, you get back 10 times.
We're all carbon-based beings in the same universe. So.
Carbon-based being. That sounds all pretty impersonal.
I guess so.
Do you believe in God at all?
I'm a spiritual person.
Yeah? What does that mean?
I'm not sure if I believe in a God. I believe in, I'm a spiritual person.
I don't know if I necessarily believe in God. I wish more people ask themselves those kinds of questions. I do believe that there's a higher calling, a greater force out there.
Do you believe in God?
You bet.
Why do you say it like that?
Well, I think everybody should.
Oh, yeah, well, talk to people who don't.
Well, that's their choice, but they're wrong, but that's okay. Do I believe in God? Yes.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
It's been a long path. It didn't just happen. I was very adamantly against the idea of God for a long time.
Do you believe in God?
Well, I don't know that I am a book God person, you know what I mean, in terms of man-made God. I think there probably is a God, but I don't think you've got all the answers, or
No.
you know, or any other man does.
All right, here's the question of the day. Do you believe in God?
Yes, we are. We do. Why? Why? Because you have to believe in something.
Yeah. So you believe in God?
Yeah, but I don't know how God is. It's important to believe in something, but I don't know what it is.
But do you believe in God?
I want to. I have questions.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What? An example of the kind of question you might ask God.
Whether God exists or not, I do think there's a creator. I am Greek Orthodox. I was born and raised there.
He goes to church every
I
Sunday.
do go to church every Sunday, and I want to believe.
I think I believe more in like the power of positive thinking.
A personal God is, I think I myself is a God to myself.
You're a God to yourself.
My world, at the end, I rule my own world, so I'm a God of myself.
I believe in God because I'm a computer programmer. I know how hard it is to design things. I know that making something function is just debugging days. And then I look around and I see this universe we live in and how complicated and insanely extreme it is, and I could never do this. No one around could ever do this, and I don't think Chance could ever do this.
Interesting. You believe in Jesus?
I do.
Why?
Because I've looked around at a lot of alternatives, and that one wins.
Okay. So, out of all that, we had a lot of different perspectives, right? Everything from I'm my own God myself to, hey man, I don't know what I believe, but it's not your God and my God. And then we had the Buddhist, we had every perspective is out there. And what I hope to convince you of is that there are reasonable proofs for the existence of God, and that you can use these and understand these. It's not rocket science or anything like that. There are some scientific evidences for the existence of God, but there's also moral arguments that presuppose, or you have to have a God in order to have this morality. All right. So what's a worldview? I need a volunteer. Or I'm going to pick one. You got to sit on the front row. Come on up.
What am I doing?
You're just going to help present this thing. It's not hard. You're just going to read and I'll interrupt you. I'm good at that. So, say your name.
My name's Chris.
All right, you're going to face the audience. Like turn around and read a little bit and then face the audience. Go ahead.
Start from the beginning.
Yep, a worldview.
A worldview can be analyzed by how it's answered 4 basic questions.
What are they?
Origin.
Origin. Go ahead.
Where did it come from?
All right, where did I come from? Where did things come from? Where did everything come from? That's one question. And all of these worldviews attempt to answer the origin of things by this way. What's the second question?
Meaning.
And
why are I here?
Why are I here? Man, I wrote that wrong. All right, so why am I here? We got to have some meaning for us being here. And all 3 worldviews try to address it. Next question.
Morality. How do I understand what is right and wrong?
Okay, morality. How do we approach what do we know is good and evil, bad and wrong, bad and good, right and wrong? Those worldviews will tell you. Go ahead.
Destiny. What happens when I die?
So all 3 different worldviews tell you, or they have a belief in something that happens after we're dead. All right, so the 3 worldviews, like I said, it's going to be supernaturalism, which is theism, a belief in a higher power beyond us. Naturalism, which is just the belief that natural causes alone are sufficient to explain for everything in the universe, the creation and everything. That would be atheism. And then pantheism, which is a belief that all is God. And it's hard for us as Western people to understand that, but a lot of people do, so we're going to have to talk a little bit about it. So here's just a really quick one. So what religions are in theism in the globe? Yeah.
Judaism, Christianity, Islam.
Okay, those 3, the Judeo-Christian is what Western civilization was founded on, and Islam came in about 600 AD. They all have this belief in a higher transcendent, which means higher power, that is above us. All right, what's the middle? Pantheism. What are some religions there?
Hinduism.
Close.
Hinduism. New Age.
All right, so even, y'all, I don't know if y'all have heard of New Age, but that's like looking at crystals and weird stuff like that. That's a pantheistic worldview, just like Hinduism and Buddhism. All right, atheism.
Religious.
Humanism.
Humanism.
All right, good job. Give him a hand, give him a hand. All right, need another volunteer. Oh, you looked at me, come on. All right, so say your name. Chase. All right, what we're going to do here is we're going to answer those 4 questions. Here they are. Origin, right here. Meaning, morality, and destiny with these 3 worldviews. Okay? The first one that we're going to talk about is where did I come from? You see that top row? So that's the question. What does atheism say of where I came from?
The universe and life are the product of random interaction of chemicals.
Okay, if there is no God, then everything can be explained by natural causes, which is nothing more than molecules in motion banging into each other, the laws of physics and chemistry and biology and stuff. So that's the thought of what the origin of everything is from an atheistic perspective. What about theism?
A higher power was required to create the universe. Then life, then
consciousness. So, a theistic point of view believes that there had to be a higher power, there had to be a transcendent reality beyond the known universe in order to get things started, which is what the creation of the universe is, in order to begin life, which is how we came about eventually, and then consciousness, which is how people think and reason and rational thought. That's something that is, in the theistic explanation, is unexplainable by any other means. All right, so a pantheistic person believes what?
God is in all. God is one. This life is an illusion. You come from a previous reincarnation.
Okay, again, this pantheistic thought is that everything is one, and everything else, and you appear to be an individual, it's an illusion. And that the better you act, which we'll see in a little bit under morality, so I'm not going to go there. We'll do one more row for you. Meaning. So the question is, why am I here? What does an atheist say to that?
Life is ultimately without meaning, value, or purpose.
Okay, just like that guy with the creepy eyes, when they asked him about God, he was like, I guess we're just all atoms and molecules banging around. And he really didn't. He was being logically consistent. If there is no God, and it did not require anything else for creation or for consciousness or for life, then yeah, there is no meaning for life. I live and I die and I turn back into the dust and molecules and something else happens. All right, so that's an atheistic view. Why am I here for a theist?
Living in community with God and His people, giving meaningful work and service to do for His glory.
Okay. Then a pantheist, what's he do?
The meaning of life is to forget the self, individual, and understand we are all one.
There it is again, the thought that in a pantheistic reality, all is one. We need to get rid of the individual. All right, good job. One more. Your turn. Time for the girls to stand up. What's your name?
Lily.
All right. We're going to talk about morality. How do I know right and wrong to an atheist point of view?
There is no ultimate right and wrong, good or bad.
And we'll go through a little of the detail of why that's the case. But to an atheist, in reality, there's no way to know that. Go ahead for why do I know right and wrong for a theist?
God's nature is the source of right and wrong.
Okay, remember that answer. We're going to watch a few slides talking about why things are right and wrong. Go ahead. Why is a pantheist, how do they know what's right and wrong?
Right and wrong do not really exist. God is both good and evil. Yin and yang or karma.
Oh, y'all have heard that term, the yin and the yang, and karma, that lady that was interviewed, karma comes back at you 10 times. So that thought that there really is no good and evil, it's all one thing. It's almost like Star Wars, they got the Force and the good dudes and the bad dudes, whatever they are. I don't even know what their names are. I'm sorry, we need to do one more. Destiny. What happens when I die for an atheist?
and gone. There is no afterlife, no reward or punishment.
Okay, it's done, it's gone, it's over with. What about a theist?
Either eternity with God or eternity separated from Him.
Woo! That's some high stakes there. Eternity. We have a hard time grasping eternity, but that's a long time. All right. So what happens when I die for a pantheist?
Reincarnation, either better or worse than before, or union with the One, nirvana or
Moksha. So yeah, good job. So basically, good job. All right. So what we're dealing with here is with the reincarnation is if you have done well in this world, you would reincarnate as something better. If you didn't do so good, you would reincarnate something worse. And the goal would be to get to the one, which in Hinduism is moksha and in Buddhism was nirvana. So, all right. So let's look at what is atheism, what does it really mean? Next one. Fun one. What's that?
You got the next one.
Okay. Yeah. He's volunteering. Name?
Karis.
All right. So what does atheism really mean?
That there is no God. That there is no ultimate destination after death. When it's over here, it's over. We're not rewarded for doing good things. We're not punished for doing bad things. We in the universe are the products of chance.
Okay, so this is y'all don't even know what this game is, do you? Y'all probably have it on your phone now. It's probably an app. All right, so the true meaning of life: eat, avoid bad people, and jump to the next level. So I thought that was funny. So what we're going to look at is how atheism treats. We talked about the basic understanding there. How does it treat the meaning and that value and that purpose? Okay, so. Is it really the case that we don't need a God to give us meaning? And so meaning has to do with why something matters, kind of a purpose thing. So if each individual passes out of existence when he dies, then what ultimate meaning can be given to that life? Go ahead to the next one.
Does it matter in the end if he existed at all? Man can attempt to create his own meaning, but there is nothing ultimate about this artificially created meaning. This is the horror of modern man because he ends in nothing. He is nothing.
Nihilism, I'm sorry.
Nihilism. Thus, without God, life becomes meaningless. Man and the universe are without ultimate significance.
Okay. Good job. You asked for it. Come on, man. Come on up. Huh? He's next. He's next if you go. Let's go. You're good. Come on. All right. Now we're going to talk about values. So what is a value? That's what's good and evil. If there's no God, there's no objective standard of right and wrong. Go ahead. Next one.
Is it really the case that we don't need a God to give values? What is value?
And then go to the in the world without God.
Where is it?
Third one.
In a world without God, who's to say whose values are right and whose are wrong?
Good. Keep going.
We keep going.
Ultimately.
Ultimately, good and evil do not exist. We will review later. If life ends in the grave, then it makes no ultimate difference whether you live as Hitler or as Mother Teresa.
Okay. So I want to play another little video real quick. And this is a question. Good job. Good job. Let's see.
Let's say morality is required.
Now let's do this one. Can atheists be moral?
Do you believe that atheists and agnostics, once they choose that path for their point of view, do you believe that they can't be as moral as Christians?
I don't know. The atheists, agnostics can be just as moral as anybody else. The question isn't, do you need God to be moral? You have to believe in God to be moral. No, there's atheists that are very moral. The question is, can you justify morality without God? And that's the problem, right? It's not, can you act morally? Of course, atheists can act morally. The question is, can you justify what is moral without God? And I say, no, it's just your opinion if there's no God.
But how? I mean, if you're, for me, I was raised in a family with I would say, not to sound conceited, but with very high morals, I respect everyone's point of views. I'm very open-minded. So, how would God influence me to be more moral, even if, like, I think of myself and people tell me that I'm a decent and moral person?
Well, let's back up for a second and ask the question, what is the purpose of life? Is the purpose of life to be moral?
Listen up.
I don't know, that's, no, I wouldn't, well, that's, I guess I would say no, but.
What is the purpose then?
To make the world a better place.
That would be then being moral, right?
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah, in a sense it would be. So that our children and grandchildren can leave.
Who cares? We're ultimately going to burn out one day, so what's the ultimate purpose?
So that we can live longer and humans can stay on Earth longer.
So what? Ultimately, it's all we're going to spin out, we're going to eat death.
Okay.
So is there any ultimate purpose? There may be short-term purposes, but no ultimate purpose.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so...
In the very long term.
Right, in the very long term, there's no purpose, so why do you care about the short term then?
Because I care about my children and grandchildren.
Right, but so did Stalin. And that Stalin lived a great life for himself and his children and grandchildren by killing everybody around him and taking their stuff.
Yeah, he's a bad person, so... Yeah.
But what do you mean by bad?
He's killing other people.
Why is that wrong?
Because it's I mean, it's not good to kill other people.
Why not?
Because that's what most
Who
people
said?
say.
Yeah, but who said? Hitler said it was good to kill other people. Stalin said it was good to kill them. Why is that wrong? Why are they wrong?
Because they killed millions of people.
I know, but why is killing millions of people wrong if there's no God?
Because I would just say because it's ruining the human race and it's
right, but it presupposes that there's some value to human beings, right? That presupposes that, okay? We're running their values to human beings if we're here through a darwinistic process which didn't have us in mind. There's no ultimate purpose to life. So one of the problems when you're trying to discover morality is there can be no morality without purpose. Just a practical example. You can't say that your quarterback throwing a touchdown is better than your quarterback throwing an interception unless you know what the purpose of the game is. And you can't know whether a particular action that we take in the real world is good or bad unless you know what the purpose of life is. And so all this involves a purpose, and that involves God.
Okay. So in line with that, I'm going to skew off into this one here. Let's see. So, how do we know right and wrong? What's the basis of morality? So from that little talk right there, what would you say is the basis of morality? Can it be based on anything natural from this world? Can we say things are right and wrong based on what a society says, or what an individual says, or from what? Any thoughts? All right, your turn. Yes, come on up here. So we're going to figure out. What's your name?
Mia.
All right. So we're going to talk about theism. Go ahead. Theism.
Theism is the belief that there is a transcendent higher power beyond the created universe. Monotheism teaches that there is just one such higher power. Judaism and Christianity teach that this higher power is the God of the Bible. Christianity states that truth is not
arbitrary
or changing. There are absolute right and wrong.
Okay. So, we know some things are wrong, but why are they wrong? Go ahead and read that.
Why is it wrong to murder, to hate, to lie? Because my parents or pastor taught me it is wrong.
What about that? Anybody? Is that why it's right or wrong? Okay, you said no. Why? All right, so we had parents in the past that believed in slavery. We had parents in the past that believed in racism and segregation and abortion today. And so not everything is, not all parents are great. I'm a sinful parent, but like we don't know everything either. And that's not the basis of why things are wrong is because we tell you it is. I'm saying that nothing is morally right and wrong because somebody tells you it is. It's for another reason. Go ahead and read this one.
Because of the negativity consequences.
Negative consequences. What about that? It's wrong because I'm going to get in trouble. What about that? Good job. Is that why it's wrong? Good. All right. Most kids today were taught to look at it. What are my alternatives? What are the consequences for each alternative? And which one do I prefer? Well, the consequences for doing something sometimes are bad for doing the right thing. If you stand up for something, you could get the bad consequence. And the other way is, we'll look at it in just a second, the consequences don't ever justify the choice. You can justify almost every evil with that belief. But here's another one. Some of the time frame you're involved with is also. So when you cheat on a test and you don't get caught, what happens? I mean, assuming you cheated off a good person that knew what they were doing. What? You get a good grade? That's not a negative consequence. So that doesn't mean, the consequences don't determine whether something's right or wrong. We hope that most of the time people get what they, do. They pay for what they do wrong and they get rewarded for what they do right. But that's not ultimately what happens. There's other times, like when you skip school. Hey, it's fun, and if I don't get caught, there's no bad consequences. Again, like cheating on the test. All right, next one. Go ahead, you. Yeah. Why is it wrong to murder, to hate, to lie? Is it because?
Because it's legal.
Illegal.
Illegal.
Yeah. Is it wrong because it's illegal? Kinda? Okay. Are there any times when it might not be right? Even though it's legal, it might not be right. Okay, like what? Think back, I don't know, the 1850s. What was going on then? We fought a war over it. Slavery. Slavery was legal. Was it right? No. What about in the 1950s? They were segregating people based on the color of their skin. Was that right? No, but it was legal. So, and today, abortion, that's legal. That doesn't mean it's right. So, nothing legal doesn't necessarily have anything to do with morality. We hope that our legal system is moral and based on a Judeo-Christian ethic. But however, we're not there today. And all through time, we've made mistakes with what we've said was legal and not legal. Okay, next one.
Why is it wrong to murder, to hate, to lie? Because the Bible says so?
What about that? Is that why? Actually, the Bible says it's wrong because it is wrong, but that's not why it's wrong. Okay, using that could be a form of legalism. We don't want to do that. But nothing is wrong because the Bible necessarily teaches it, but the Bible teaches it is wrong because it is wrong. Okay, so why? We still don't know why. All right, what about this one?
Because I feel that it is wrong.
All right, I feel like it's wrong. What about that? Why not? Good job. Why could it not be wrong because I feel like it's wrong? Anybody? What are feelings? Do they change?
Yes.
Okay. They come and go. Sometimes I feel real strong about something. Sometimes I don't. They change with the circumstances, and different people feel different about the same thing. Okay? This all goes back to the requirement for that transcendental reason defining that right and wrong, okay? So now it's not really your feelings at the moment that tells you what's right and wrong. Okay, so we've already talked about not somebody taught you it because of the negative consequences or because it's illegal or legal. That's not necessarily because it's not why because the Bible tells you so or because you feel it's wrong. Go ahead. You're up. Yeah. All right. Right here.
Something is wrong because it is.
Contrary
Contrary to the
character
natural
and
person of God.
okay. So, this is the important part. Something is wrong because it is against the character and nature and the person of God. It's because of who God is that defines right and wrong. Because we have this transcendent creator, the way he is by his nature, what attributes he has, define right and wrong. So we're going to look at this. Go ahead.
Why is it wrong to murder?
Why is it wrong to murder?
Because God is the creator of life.
Okay. Okay, we're going to keep going down this. I want some of y'all to answer some of this. Why is it wrong to hate? Because God is? No, not always that. He has other attributes. What's the opposite of hate? Love. Good job. Go ahead, read the next one.
Why is it wrong to cheat?
Because God doesn't cheat. Okay, well. Because God is just. Okay? Go ahead. Up next one up here.
Why is it wrong to lie?
God is truthful because he is the way, the truth, and the life. Good. All right.
Why is it
unrighteousness?
God is righteous.
Yeah, man, y'all are getting rocket scientists here on me. All right. Why is it wrong to be impure? Yes. All right. That's it. Good job. All right. Let's move on over to this other one again. We might not get to the life of Jesus, Mark. I said we might not make it to the life of Jesus. All right. All right, you're talking. Come on up here. You want to talk? Come on. You're next. He's next. Come on.
I know I'm supposed to be in the church.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else came in later than me, and they got to go to the church.
Got to, but this is funner than that. Okay. All right, so consequences of atheism. Go ahead. If there
is no ultimate meaning, value, or purpose to life, one usually reverts to relativism and postmodernism.
Okay.
All viewpoints, lifestyles, beliefs, and behaviors are regarded as equally valid. If all ideas are valid, then no idea is really worth or allegiance. Nothing is worth living or dying for or even arguing about. We have no fixed standards by which to measure or judge our values, truth, purpose, or beauty. We have values, but no value. We have truths, but no truth. We have purposes, but no purpose.
Okay, that without that transcendent higher power, without his nature of who he is, defining right and wrong, good and bad, evil, and all of that, we don't have a way to do that other than our individual preferences or our society's preferences. And let's see. Go ahead. Consequences of atheism.
When we follow,
Did I already read that?
Nope.
When we follow relativism to its logical conclusion, we aren't forced to see these fatal flaws. Moral relativists can't accuse others of wrongdoing, complain about the problem of evil, place blame or accept praise, make charges of unfairness or injustice, improve their morality, hold meaningful moral discussions, promote the obligation of tolerance.
All right, good job.
Very good.
And does that ring a bell with where we are today in our culture? In our culture, we're told that all viewpoints, lifestyles, beliefs, and behaviors are equally valid. we need to be tolerant of everything, right? That's what the world is telling us right now. And that if all ideas are valid, then, you know, it's almost like, what was that show, The Incredibles? If everybody's a superhero, nobody's a superhero. Come on, guys. All right, so you're next. Come on, let's go, big boy. No. Oh, he's sticking up. Okay.
Good job, buddy. Cameron, I'll give my life for you.
Well, he just gave his life. All right.
Shay's illiterate.
No, just don't do this right here. All right, so I'll do the next slide. So this is a real cluttered up slide you can't see, but all it's explaining is there's all kinds of ways to try to deal with there not being a God and coming up with how do we decide what's right and wrong since there's no God. That's where you get hedonism, which is just if it feels good, do it. You've got pragmatism. If it works, it's good. If it don't work, it's not. We got utilitarianism over here, and that just means whatever the most people say is good, or whatever's good for the most people is good, and whatever's not. And humanism, what's best for humans. There's all these different philosophies that came about trying to come up with how do we get a right and a wrong. Unfortunately, all of them have problems. So hedonism, of course, if you just do everything you want to, you're gonna be fat like me. You're gonna just gorge on everything, and everything's a temporary high or low. You're gonna interfere with everybody else's stuff. Pragmatism, whatever works is right. Well, what if it doesn't work for somebody else? The guy mentioned Joseph Stalin. It worked for him to kill 20 million people because he stayed powerful. He had all the power in the world. It's not working for everybody else. So same thing with utilitarianism, majority rules. Well, if you got 10 wolves and a sheep in an elevator, the majority is going to say let's have dinner, but that's not too good for the sheep. So you can see there that all of these philosophies have a problem when they try to define right and wrong. All right, let's get to theism. Go ahead.
Theism is the belief that there is a transcendent higher power beyond the created universe. Monotheism teaches that there is just one such higher power.
You know what? We had that slide earlier. Let's go to this one.
God reveals himself to humans through public revelation, material universe,
cosmological
or outside evidence, natural laws, ontological inside evidence or logical evidence, divine revelation, Bible and tradition, revealed evidence.
Okay, so we got three ways we can know God. The outside evidence is the material universe. We have the inside evidence, which is the natural law that gives us our conscience, gives us the knowledge of right and wrong. And then we have divine revelation, of course, which comes from God, which is the scriptures and the foundation. In the Catholics, we got our church that judges the truth and false beliefs over time. So all of those are ways we can know God. In general, though, you're not going to be able to talk to an atheist about what the Bible says necessarily, so I'm going to focus on the public revelation that is available to all. And, okay, go ahead, the first one.
3 more.
Yeah, you were good. Let's keep going. Just one of those.
Nice.
Just one of them. General relativity.
Evidence continues to pour in that the universe is expanding. If it is expanding at some point in the past, it was a point of singularity.
Yeah.
Time, space, matter, energy, all have starting point. Something outside the universe had to be started.
Good job. So, what I mean by that, and I used to use this example where I'd blow up a balloon with little stars drawn on it, but I didn't want to let the balloon go and get slobber everywhere. But what happened is, when you start off, the balloon is small, and you blow it up, and everything gets further apart, all the little dots on it. And that's what happened with our universe. It started off as a singularity, as one little point, and it expands. That's just what we've observed through astronomy. So if you rewind it, you let go of the balloon, it comes back down in history, back at the beginning of time. Everything was a singularity with infinite density and mass and all that stuff, and all the laws of science kind of go haywire. Well, what the thought is that in order for that to have began, all of that density and mass and all that energy had to have something outside of it put it into existence to give it a starting point. So that's the thought from, they call it general relativity. That was a little Einstein thing. All right, so next one. Somebody volunteer? Oh, you looked at me. Come on. Yeah, you. Oh. All right, now these are like fancy engineering things, but they're easy to understand. Go ahead. Second law.
The universe is in natural decay. It is running down like a wound-up clock. If the universe is winding down, there was a time when it was wound up. Something outside the universe had to wind it up.
Okay, so you heard in that question and answer with the, yeah, good job. You heard with the question and answer on the video, the guy talked about heat death. Heat death. Well, what happens? What's the purpose of everything? Everything goes to heat death. Well, that just means, like, if I had my cup of ice and Diet Dr. Pepper over here, and I opened it up, and eventually, if I left it out here for 4 days, it's going to get to 68 degrees or whatever the temperature is ambient. All the energy that is different right now is eventually all going to die down to nothing. And that's what I meant by, you got to, the clock is wound up and it's ticking down. All the energy is getting evened out. You can't create or destroy energy, but it's coming to one heat death, one thing. So at some point in the past, that differential started, something wound the clock, and something outside the universe had to do that. All right, next one. All right, come on up here. Oh, you're next. First law, thermodynamics. You can't get something from nothing. Go ahead.
Energy cannot be created or destroyed in the natural world as we know it. If the universe had a beginning, then at some point there was no energy. Something external to the universe must have put energy into the system.
Okay, does that kind of make sense? Logical? Because we can't create or destroy. We've never seen that before. That's just one of those laws of science. So something had to put that energy at the beginning. Okay, let's see. I'm going to skip a few. All right, let's talk about the inside evidence. Go ahead. Yeah. What's your name? All right. So this is the argument from causation. Go ahead.
Whatever begins to exist has a cause for its coming into being. The universe began to exist, the Big Bang. Therefore, the universe has a cause for its coming into being. We see God's eternal and powerful,
omnipotent.
Yeah, that nature in this argument.
Okay, so God has a bunch of attributes that make up the nature of himself. And we talked about some of them. He's pure, he's just, he's merciful. All those attributes that make things right or wrong are based on his nature. So in addition to that, we can see the eternal nature, the fact that he had to be here before time started. The Big Bang is essentially when time started, because all matter, energy, and gravity and all that stuff was started. And so before that, time. Anybody know what time is? What's the definition of time?
Infinite?
Time. Well, there is a concept of infinity. Time is just the measurement of between two events. And before the universe existed, there were no events. There was only God and the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit as a Trinity, but there was nothing material to measure any events by, so therefore there was no time. So that eternal nature means that it does go infinitely behind and infinitely beyond the universe. And then his powerful nature is that beyond any power we know, something had to put this whole thing into motion. Something caused it. All right, let's do one more. The idea of God.
Inside evidence. Argument from the idea of God. All primitive societies and cultures have a belief in higher powers. Either this was chance or a reflection of the true God. Not chance, therefore the idea of God is from God.
Okay, so if we look at every culture in the past, you had the Egyptians, they had their sun god, and the cats were gods and all that stuff. The Greeks had the Greek gods, Romans had Romans gods, Sumerians had the Sumerian gods, Babylonians, they worshipped all these weird gods, but they had that thought that came to them that there is a higher power that they need to offer something for, sacrifice for. And therefore, that is something that is given to all of humanity, given to each individual. And that is not a chance thing that occurred. That's something that comes from God. The knowledge of the need to worship comes from God. And every culture has had that. You want to do one more? Yeah. Okay. This is a moral argument.
Inside evidence. The moral argument. Moral obligation is a fact. We are truly obligated to do good and avoid evil. Either the atheistic or theistic view is correct. Atheistic view is incompatible with moral obligation. There are some things moral that are against self-preservation or group preservation. Therefore, theistic view is correct. We see God's goodness, holiness, from this argument.
Okay, we've got another attribute for God here, his holiness, his goodness, because he gives us, and what is that idea that has the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other? That tells us what? Yeah, that's our conscience. And that conscience, that innate, that we're built with, knowledge of good and evil comes from God. And that's all that argument is saying. And that there's no other reason that God would plant that knowledge of himself. It's basically knowledge of God, because things are good or bad based on the nature of God himself. So that knowledge, that infant's knowledge of good and evil, comes from God. We have to develop our conscience and form it by, looking at what the church teaches us and whatnot. But that initial knowledge of good and evil, right and wrong, we all have it. Not that we all do it right, we all sin, but we all have that knowledge, and that knowledge comes from God. You want to do the last one?
Sure.
All right.
From this public revelation, we can see a creator with these attributes. Spaceless, timeless, and
Immaterial.
He created space, time, and matter. Powerful. He created everything out of nothing. Personal. Only persons make choices to create. Intelligent. The universe is designed and fine-tuned. Created and
Substantive? I know, that's a hard word.
By word and will alone. Good. From the moral argument,
Conscience.
With divine revelation, we can learn much more about our Creator, and we'll do this next week.
We really won't do it next week, but good job. Give her a hand.
But Baz, I'm still, that video you showed at the very beginning.
Yeah.
That so many people did not believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
That was just heart-wrenching.
Oh, yeah. Well, and what you see is that our society has given up on the very thought that we need that higher power. We need that transcendent something above us defining right and wrong. Because ultimately, just like that kid asking that question about, why can't an atheist be just as moral as a Christian? Well, the answer is, how do you even know what morality is? How do you even know what good and evil are without that transcendent definer of what is good and bad? And people don't think things through a lot anymore. These philosophers, I showed all those philosophies in humanism and existentialism, all those attempts at coming up with right and wrong. They thought about it, but they ultimately couldn't come up with anything other than their personal feelings of what is right and wrong, or their society's feelings of what is right and wrong. So whenever Hitler and all the Germans were put on trial, Hitler killed himself, so all those German SS troops were put on trial in a town called Nuremberg. They were found guilty. So how is that so? Because that was like the world saying that is wrong. It's because they had to admit that there was something higher than the Nazi Party, because the Nazi Party said, well, you know what? We're going to make this place better we're going to kill off all these people that we don't like, and that we'll have a better society. That was what their society thought was right and wrong. Well, the world came back, and even though they had they really didn't want to do this, they acknowledged that there is something higher than that society. There's something higher than above everybody that says, no, that's wrong. And we don't think through those things anymore, and ultimately it's a personal decision, and sometimes not well thought out, to not believe in God. So, what else you want to do? You want to do Life of Jesus?
Yes.
Okay. Or y'all want to do happiness? Let's do happiness. This is kind of good. So, what is happiness? Okay, it can be. It can be an emotion. The modern view of happiness is that it's an emotion. It's something that temporarily satisfies me or makes me joyous. The classical definition of happiness was contentment, blessedness, so something more longer lasting. And there's actually 4 levels of happiness, and we'll talk about that at the very end. We all seek happiness, and we seek it for its own reason. A lot of things we seek to make us happy, but we're all looking to be happy, right? We're all looking for happiness. If we could make a list of ingredients to make a happy life, what would it look like? Who else wants to do this? Go ahead.
Me.
So, most important ingredients to be happy. We're just thinking, throwing things out there. Wealth. You think that would make you happy? I mean, you got a lot of money. You could do a lot of stuff with it. Conquest
of nature by science.
Okay. I mean, indoor plumbing, air conditioning. I mean, if we didn't have air conditioning, we didn't have mosquito flames, we'd be pretty bad off here. So, conquest of nature, that's good stuff.
Freedom from pain.
Freedom from pain. Probably one of the greatest inventions in the last century was anesthesia. I mean, without that, y'all probably haven't had surgery yet. I had neck surgery. That probably would have hurt pretty bad. And Mark's had some surgeries too. So just freedom from pain.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem. We want to boost our self-esteem. That would make us happy.
Justice. Sex. Win.
Okay, so justice. We want things done right and decided right. Sex within a marriage, that would be a good thing. Win. We all want to win, right?
Honor and acceptance.
We want acceptance. We want honor. We want, people to pat us on the back.
Lifelong healthy.
All right, you want to live a long life. You want to be healthy. Sound like good? No, read one more. Sorry.
Don't these items seem obvious? Don't these seem beyond argument? Whoever would deny these would be a fool. Whoever proposed their opposite would be insane.
Good job. Okay. And I saw this on a speech one time, and I was like, yeah, that's all good stuff. But then he hit me over the head with these. To our desire for wealth, a very important person once said, blessed are the poor in spirit. For our desire to conquer nature, and that would be, power and might, blessed are the meek. To those that have no pain, who wish to have no pain, blessed are those who mourn. For those who wish for self-esteem, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. To those who wish for justice, blessed are the merciful. For those who desire sex, blessed are the pure in heart. For those who wish for conquest, blessed are the peacemakers. For those who wish for acceptance, blessed are the persecuted. For those who want and wish for a life of long, healthy life, he gives us the cross. So, again, there's these 4 levels of happiness you can see up there, and none of them are bad in our pursuit for happiness. But there's different levels, and they mean different things. So at the first level would be a very short duration of happiness, but it would be very good, very quickly making it. And that's what I call material happiness. And, you know, Netflix and chill. I get to sit back, get to eat what I want, watch all the movies I want. I get to do something and indulge. So that's material happiness, level 1 happiness. Next level up, nothing wrong with that occasionally, but we can't make our life based on that, because at the end of the day, it's unfulfilling long term. We always try to seek something else, try to get something better from that material point of view. Next level up is competition. You want to win, all right? Anybody been in any sport, you want to win. Nothing wrong with that, except you can't base all of your happiness on that. Because guess what? There's always someone stronger, there's always someone faster, and if you're in a fighting, somebody's always going to knock you out. So, or break your leg. Did y'all see that the other night? Okay, so competition, again, a good thing. Competition makes America good, but we can't base our total happiness, because there's always that striving to do something we can't quite do. All right, the next level of happiness is doing good for others. Okay, so we reach beyond ourselves. We reach beyond doing those things for our own benefit and do it for others. That's the third level of happiness. Longer term, not as instantaneous of a happiness, but there's a longer term blessedness to there. And we see that that's a reflection. Us doing things for others is a reflection for the next highest level, which is that love of God, that happiness that comes from doing things for God. So that's just a real brief introduction. There's a long thing I could talk about happiness, but it's not what we think it is. It's not all of those categories of wealth and money and all of that stuff. They have their own place, but our true happiness comes from our belief in God.